everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of Dayspring Discussions. I'm your host, Sean McGahee, and this is a show we talk about movies, TV, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books. If you geek out about it, we're going to talk about it. I am here, joined by my lovely co-host, Miss Lisa Locke McGahee.
Hello.
Alright guys, so this is your first time listening. This is how the show goes. I'm going to run down some Marvel news, some DC news, skip over to some Star Wars and Harry Potter if there is any. Then we go to miscellaneous news. And then Lisa and I are going to discuss these stories. And then you guys fire back on social media. Hit us up on Facebook. Hit us up on Twitter. Even hit us up on the Gmail account, dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com. It is Sunday night. We usually do this on Tuesday. But bit of a scheduling conflict this week, much like last week. I wanted to have a co-host this week. So I wanted to try to fit this in. So we're doing a little early. If a couple of big news stories come up, you know, that's fine. I'll fill it in. I'll share my opinion and make sure that it's the only opinion that matters, as it should be. And we'll go on from there, guys. So, starting off, we got to take a minute and just talk about the tragic passing of Adam West. Most of you, or most of the world, knows Adam from being Batman during the 1960s television show. But a lot of the younger generation know him from Family Guy, where he was Mayor Adam West as well. When I was a kid, I used to watch old episodes of Batman on Nick at Night. So before Michael Keaton was Batman in the 1989 Tim Burton film, there was Adam West. And really got to give that show a lot of credit. It was campy, it was silly, but it was one of the first shows to pioneer superheroes into mainstream media, next to George Reeves in the Superman series, and then later on with Linda Carter with Wonder Woman. So, died at the age of 88 from leukemia. So, a full life though, you know. 88's, it's pretty good. If I get to 88, I think I will be a happy man about that. But Lisa, what did you think when you heard this tragic news?
I mean, I didn't know he was ill, but I don't really know that much about him. I mean, I never watched Batman TV series as a kid.
Have you ever seen any of the episodes?
I mean, I've seen, as an adult now, I've seen a handful, but like what I know him most from is Family Guy as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even know he was ill, so, you know.
Yeah, you know, he's been in other things besides that, but that's what he's most known for. I will say, though, if you want a real treat, go watch a certain episode of Batman the Animated Series where Adam West actually does a voice cameo. And it's a really sweet, probably one of the best episodes of the animated series. So basically what the premise is that someone in Gotham is bombing buildings. And it's very similar to a plot of an old TV show that Bruce Wayne used to watch as he was a kid called The Gray Ghost. So he goes out and he finds the actor who played the Gray Ghost, voiced by Adam West, who is kind of a washed-up actor, and people still think of him as the Gray Ghost, so he really can't get any other work. And the Gray Ghost character is kind of like very similar to Batman, where like they're trying to say that Bruce Wayne took some of the, you know, flair that he saw in this childhood television show and incorporated it into Batman. And he kind of gives the character of Gray Ghost a new sense of life, I guess, in that sense. But it's really just a sweet episode, and it, you know, very reflective of, you know, probably at that point, Adam West's own life. You know, people think of him as Batman and maybe struggling to get out of that shadow as well. But it's a really good episode, Batman Animated Series. I recommend checking it out. But it was sad to hear him. But, you know, like I said, 88, he lived a full life, and that's all one can ask for.
Yep.
I guess. So, alright, so moving on to the real stories of the day. Starting off with Marvel news. Of course, we're going to start off with a little X-Men news. Now, guys, it's a little mixture because last week I just did the Wonder Woman review, which we'll get to because I want to get Lisa's feelings on the film. She saw it with me. But I got a couple of old pieces of news and a couple of new pieces of news, so we're going to mix it all together and just, you know, come up with hopefully a great show. Hopefully better than what it starts off with. But in any event, starting in X-Men news, we are less than a year away from Josh Boone's New Mutants film. It's supposed to come out April 13th of next year, and they're coming right along with the casting. So they recently cast, what's the name here? Blunt Hunt.
A bunch of people that nobody knows.
Blue Hunt, yes. Well, some of them. Blue Hunt as the character of Daniel Moonstar, We got Macy Williams from Game of Thrones as Wolfsbane, Anya Taylor-Joy as Magic, Charlie Henton from Stranger Things as Cannonball, and Henry Zaga as Sunspot. Now, it's also reported that Rosario Dawson will be playing the team's mentor, Dr. Celia Reyes, in place of Charles Xavier. Directed by Josh Boone, set to come out October 13th. Now, this is a little different to where, according to the plot synopsis, it suggests that the film will deviate from the source material. Quote, held in a secret facility against their will, 5 new mutants have to battle the dangers of their powers as well as the sins of their past. They aren't out to save the world, they're just trying to save themselves. And now, the most interesting thing about this story, I think, is that Boone himself has come out and said that this film is actually going to be more of a horror film, in that sense. To where, you know, we get a lot of superhero movies nowadays, a lot of comic book movies, and you have to find a way to make them different. So, like, you know, Captain America was kind of espionage type film. Ant-Man was heist film, exactly. So to make a difference. So now this looks like we're getting a X-Men horror film. Now I know you're not familiar with the characters and all that stuff, so maybe just comment on how you feel about getting that kind of feel in the X-Men world.
I guess it depends on what they mean by horror film. Like if they just mean it's gonna have a darker, edgier tone, then I'm cool with that. But I don't want like a horror movie. I don't like horror movies. So I would rather them not do a horror movie. But on the same token, I don't know any of these characters. I don't know anything about New Mutants. Yeah. I don't know any of these actors. So, like...
So you really just go know nothing.
Right. Like, so, I mean, I'm really kind of like, if they make it a horror movie, I'd rather it be this one than one that I actually want. Yeah. That I actually care about the characters.
It's got a superhero, you know, X-Men slant to it, so it might get you interested, maybe. Except
it's horror.
I know, but it's X-Men too.
Yeah, I know. I like X-Men usually, but if it's a horror movie, I don't know. I think I just always think going a horror route is a risk, just because it just narrows the people that are going to be interested. Okay. You know, like horror. There's a niche. You know, horror is a niche industry, and not everybody likes it. So. I don't know. Okay,
fair enough. In regards to like some of these, like the guy from Stranger Things who's going to be playing Cannonball, Cannonball, yes. He's like almost like a human rocket, pretty much. But he's a great character, and I like the actor who was in Charlie Henton from Stranger Things. I think that was a good casting. I think he's going to do a good job of that. And of course, Macy Williams as Wolfsbane. People have been talking about that for a while now. And then the most interesting character, I think, of the bunch, though, that I'm most familiar with, too, is Magic. So Magic is Cyclops' younger sister. Okay? And she is, like, super, like, powerful and, like, obviously magic from her name. At one point to where she was actually trained for several years by Doctor Strange on how to control her powers. And I think I'm curious if we're going to get, you know, that they're going to mention that she's Cyclops' sister, or if we're going to see...
Summer siblings?
Not Cyclops, Colossus.
Oh.
I say Cyclops?
Yeah, you said Cyclops.
My bad.
I was like,
I meant
dude,
Colossus.
I didn't know there was a sister.
My bad. It's Colossus' sister. My bad. Okay. Colossus' sister is Magic. And that's an interesting relationship there, to where when we first meet that character, Ileana is her name, in the comics, she's just a little kid, and Colossus protects her quite a bit. And then yet as she grows up and develops her mutant power, this powerful mutant power, Colossus is still trying to play protector, even though she's, more powerful than even he is. Mm. So it's an interesting dynamic between the two of them. I'm curious if we're going to connect that, if we're going to see Colossus even at all in this film, perhaps. And even you got Rosario Dawson coming in. Perhaps. Reportedly.
Allegedly.
I know. That feeds into, I don't like that they're changing the myths so much. Because originally New Mutants were basically just what it was, that new class of mutants behind, Cyclops and Jean Grey and Beast and all them. They were the New Mutants. They still trained with Xavier in Xavier's mansion. So to change it so much to like this, it doesn't even really sound like New Mutants.
Yeah, I guess we'll just have to see what they do.
Yeah, so, alright. Okay, moving on from that, last piece of Marvel news, the big thing, Friday night, during the NBA Finals, we got our first look at Black Panther. That's right, remember Marvel Studios, there we go. Marvel Studios released the first trailer for the Ryan Coogler movie starring Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa. Now, we first saw the character last year in Captain America Civil War. So in this one, T'Challa returns home after the death of his father to the isolated yet technologically advanced African nation of Wakanda to succeed the throne to take his rightful place as king. But of course, powerful enemies reappear and challenge him as king and Black Panther as well. Faced with treachery and danger, the young king must rally his allies and release the full power of the Black Panther to defeat his foes. The film opens February 16th and also stars Michael B. Jordan, Lupita Nyong'o, Martin Freeman, Angela Bassett, Forrest Whitaker, Andy Serkis, and Sterling K. Brown. Lisa, you got a chance to watch this? Was it last night I showed it to you?
I think so.
I think it was last night I showed it to you. Okay.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
I mean, I think I need to watch it a few more times, and granted, it's just a teaser, so it doesn't really tell you much. I mean, I think it looks cool, though. I mean, it looks like a... I don't know. It looks interesting. I mean, considering that I don't really know anything about Wakanda, it looks like you're going to really get a lot of, like, history and backstory, and you're going to get a lot... I mean, it's going to be essentially his origin story, really, right?
Yeah, I guess essentially, yeah. Well, really, Civil War was more of his origin story of how he became Black Panther.
For him, but this is going to be more about, like, the Black Panther origin.
Yeah.
Not him as the Black... Like, Civil War was, like, him becoming the Black Panther, right?
Yeah.
But the Black Panther has been around. It's not
the
always
Black
been
Panther
him.
Is something in, it's passed down from king to king, pretty much.
I mean, I'm always excited to see Andy Serkis as, like, an actual person in a movie, so I'm excited about that.
Did you see the memes going around there? And there was, like, the memes of, since that scene was him and Martin Freeman, they put the picture with Bilbo and Gollum next to each other, because it's pretty much what it was.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think that the trailer looks good. Like, I mean, I think it's going to get people interested. I think it's going to do what a teaser's supposed to do. And
I think they were smart with it, too. They put it out during the NBA Finals to try to reach that audience that might not know that this film's coming out. I was curious, though, the fact that Comic-Con's only a month away. You think they might want to save that for Comic-Con, even unless they've got something else planned.
Maybe they have a real trailer for that.
I don't know, man. The movie's still pretty far away to have, release another trailer just a month after this one. But yeah, I thought it looked super cool. I'm interested. I want the depth, like, especially after seeing Wonder Woman and kind of the message of the film. In other Marvel movies like the Captain America films, there's a social message going on, which I feel like this one can also have. Like at the beginning there, you have Andy Serkis's Ulysses S. Claw talking with Martin Freeman's character who works for the American government. And he's talking about how people's idea of Wakanda is just like kind of like this simple little nation that, they dress funny and they're like, not advanced like people think they are, but underneath they're like technologically advanced to where they can, rival the U.S. and go to war or whatever. And I feel like that's something that you could play with a little bit as far as the U.S.'s mentality of we're the best, and if we see someone who's better than us, we consider them a threat. Kind of playing with that a little bit to where they might, attack Wakanda or something along those lines. I don't know. You know what I'm saying, though?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think you're, kind of grasping right now.
I'm just based on what they said, from what I've got from that first scene where Ulysses S. Claw is trying to break the charade of what people think Wakanda is, and then we see all this Yeah,
but I think he's implying that Wakanda wants people to think that.
Yeah, he is, and that's what he's trying to, pull back the veil to Martin Freeman's character, who again pretty much represents the U.S. government, so that the government is going to start asking questions about how powerful Wakanda really is. So I think he's going to have to, deal with that. And of course, the character depth. Marvel has always been good about taking care of their heroes. I mean, of course, their villains lack, but their heroes, are what shine. And I really want T'Challa's story to shine in this, to take this mantle not only as a Black Panther, but as king, and see people challenge his rule and stuff like that. And just, have him go on that full hero's journey. Because in Civil War, it was, him just putting on the Black Panther costume and out for revenge. Now he's done with his revenge, or made peace with it. It's time to actually step up and be the king, and all that entails.
The only thing that kind of worries me is how many heavy hitters in Hollywood are in this movie. Kind of makes me worried that they're going to try to do too much. Have too many characters where they can't go, where sometimes you get too many people and you can't go in depth into any of them enough because you just got too many in there.
I think a lot of them are supporting characters, really. I mean, I think,
it's just a lot of big name actors to be all supporting.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, if you look at, again, like Civil War, I mean, you had a lot of people in that.
Yeah, but you already knew all of them.
Fair enough.
This is going to be almost all introductions.
Okay, so let me, so this is going to be, say, well, I guess I compare it to maybe X-Men Days of Future Past that had a lot of people as well. But again,
even with that, you knew all
most of the characters.
See what I'm saying? That's what worries me. The only thing that worries me about this film is it's going to be, basically, 95% new characters, and there's a lot of really big heavy hitters in Hollywood.
But I don't think they're going to play a big part.
No,
they're not going to try
I agree.
to.
I don't think that they're intended to be major roles. I get it. They're all supporting cast. I'm just saying, when you get that many A-list actors in a film, I just feel like there's going to be some fights for.
I don't think so.
Screen time and
I don't think Cooler's going to allow that. I don't think Marvel's going to allow that. Because again, they're good at focusing on their heroes. I think it's Boseman's film. You're not going to try to shove Forrest Whitaker into more scenes than his character is supposed to have.
No, I'm not saying shove him into more scenes, but he has a presence.
He has a presence.
That's what I'm just. That's all I'm saying. Is
you're
all these people have a very big presence, and I'm just worried that it's going to be too many big names in a small film. Not a small film, but
I think they're all going to serve their purpose very well.
All right, that's fine. I still believe that it might be a little much, and that's what I'm worried about.
Okay, fair enough. All right, guys, so let's move on to DC news. Last week I did my Wonder Woman review by myself because no one was here to talk about it. But now we have Lisa here.
Hey, we were going to do it one night, and then you didn't want to.
Well, much like tonight, we waited until after the child went to bed, and it, got late, and I don't have the energy to do this stuff. It takes a lot of energy to get amped and to do this show right. So doing it in the middle of the night, it just, I don't have enough energy after a long day. So I'm struggling with it now. That's why I got my Kool-Aid with some sugar here. Anyway, so I did my Wonder Woman review last week. I got a couple of responses from it. Griffey actually listens to it.
Look,
he actually listened to it. First time he actually mentioned that he listened to my podcast. Maybe because I got into a fight with him about their Wonder Woman review over at the Lombok sessions a little bit. So, because I kept on comparing, that to First Avenger, and they were giving me crap about it and stuff like that.
Similar.
So, all right. So anyway, let's get Lisa's take on Wonder Woman.
So, just like my general impression.
General impression. Good, bad. We'll have just a tiny little, back and forth here, and then I'll get on to the DC news.
Generally, I liked it very much. It was the first DC movie that I can honestly say I walked out of the theater liking.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a plus.
That's a plus.
I thought that Gal Gadot was much better than I expected her to be.
All right, right.
I really, she hasn't in her, and I haven't got a huge, the Batman v Superman, she didn't, radiate, I'm a great actress. But I felt like she did in this. I really feel like she upped her game.
Yeah.
I felt like the quality of her acting, I thought she was very believable. I thought she was cute. I thought she pulled off the serious moments well.
Uh-huh.
I thought she pulled off the humor well. I really, really liked what they did with her character in terms of just kind of getting thrown into our world and how frustrating it is.
The politics of it.
Yeah, and just, her wanting to just go out and do good and to help people, and then being so frustrated with bureaucracy and just the way that she emotionally talked about that and handled that and was pained by that. I really think she did a really good job in those scenes. You really, you can see her frustration.
Yeah, I love that scene of her with the British plane trust. Where it's you should be ashamed of yourself. All that.
I thought it was good. I thought that the relationship between her and Trevor was very good and believable. I thought that they had a lot of chemistry. So I like that. She was obviously badass. I thought her fight scenes were amazing.
Yeah.
I thought she looked great.
The only thing I didn't like was I thought there was a little... I hate when they overuse
the
slow
CG
motion.
Or
slow-mo. Well, the CG...
There was a few CG things where I was like, come on.
And I've heard several people talk about it. Like, the worst part of it was... The worst one was when... her mom, whatever her name was, she jumped like off the horse, and I was like, that's total bad CG right there.
Oh, there was like 3 or 4 times where I was like, this is like the worst CG I've ever seen. Like, how in the world is this in a DC movie that costs all this money?
Yeah, well,
horrible.
It was probably rushed
CG.
because they had a deadline, so they had to rush it through.
So I mean, that was honestly, I think if I'm looking at my complaints, that was one of my big complaints.
I talked about that.
Some of the really, really bad CG moments. But I love what they did with the Amazons. I thought was interesting. Well, we're spoilers, right? It's okay with spoilers.
Yeah, of course. Sure. We're a spoiler show, guys.
Right.
Okay.
So I thought it's interesting. I liked how the whole movie you really think that the villain is like that lady and that one general, but then like you kind of find out at the end that the villain was really somebody else altogether. So I thought that was kind of interesting how they did that, how they played that off.
Yeah. I love the fact, I mean, up to the point, of course, where she actually fought Ares. Like, the whole film, she was chasing Ares, and Steve was, like, not believing her, you know, thinking, it's kind of like just playing along with her, you know, and then she kills, of course, spoilers, the one guy, the general guy. Okay, Denny Hudson's the actor's name, and then, you know, nothing happens, and he has to explain to her, like, there's no Ares, okay? These men are doing this of their own free will. They're doing these bad things of their own free will, and people are just bad, and they're good. And again, that's part of the message I loved. It's the complexity of, you know, she thought these men were doing bad things because of Ares, but really, you know, there's that that middle line. The people do good things and people do bad things.
It doesn't make you a good person or a bad person.
Exactly. It doesn't. And, you know, again, she had to make that choice at the end there is, you know, even though people do bad things, are they still worth saving?
So then my other big thing about this movie is the plot line to me was like basically like watching a Captain America all over again.
See, so I tried to...
many of the plot points.
I tried to argue this with the guys at the Long Blast session,
even the way
and they killed me.
Even the way it ended was the same.
I told them.
I'm going to sacrifice myself in this plane. And
a guy named Steve.
You know, like, I just like watching it, I just felt very... I just got a lot of Captain America vibes all throughout. And then when he knew he was going to sacrifice himself and go get in that plane and he gave her the watch, like, oh my God, I'm like, for reals, this is like the same thing. Just
about, yes. Well, you know, except for allegedly he's not going to make it out, I guess. People are talking about, he's going to be in the sequel. I'm like, he died.
He pretty much
totally died. I think to bring him back would kind of be a cop-out.
Yeah, no,
and it totally, you know, I think ruined the moment or the meaning of the end of the film if they tried to bring him back in any way, shape, or form.
I mean, he had to die to make her realize what she needed, her potential and her sacrifice. Yeah, like to realize love and all that. So, like, I mean, I think it was. I'm not saying I'm upset with how it played out. I just got a lot. There was a lot of parallels to me with Captain America in this one. True.
Okay. All right. So, all I've heard about on the websites and stuff like this is Wonder Woman. People, it's the first, you know, DC film that's actually fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. People are talking about it. People talking about how it's a new direction. It's reinvigorated the DC cinematic universe and all these things. And now they're talking about sequels and maybe putting more Wonder Woman into the Justice League movie and all this other stuff. So I want to go over some kind of recent developments or things that I've heard in, you know, the websites in regards to Wonder Woman and how it's really affected the DC universe, cinematic universe, and possibly where they can go from here. So, according to the Hollywood Reporter, in Gal Gadot's, there you go, got it right, in Gadot's contract, she is contracted to do Wonder Woman 2. However, Patty Jenkins, the director, is not. And people are giving all this credit to Patty Jenkins for this film, and people are kind of speculating, like, why was Warner Brothers so stupid not to get her to sign it? Because much like they're going to be that same situation now with, like, Marvel was with Robert Downey Jr., okay? They needed him to come back for those other Avengers films, so you know what? He made them pay him a crap load of money. And now I feel like Warner Bros. Is in that same boat where if they want Patty Jenkins to come back for that sequel, which I believe, and again, I'm of the advocate, I think she was the reason the film was so good because of her directing. She's going to make him pay for it. Mm-hmm. And I just don't get why Warner Bros. Can be so stupid. It's just ridiculous to me about that. But, I mean, it was... People are really talking about why did this film feel so different from the other movies. Now, I have my thoughts. What are your thoughts as that what separates it so much?
I think what I liked about this one and compared to the other ones is I felt like Wonder Woman was, even though she's like, a god and yada, 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 she was very, like, relatable. She's like how Superman is supposed to be. Very relatable. Like, like I was saying with the way that she reacted and her emotions, like, for me, it just felt very natural. Like, because that's, like, anybody in that, like, that's how I feel in those scenes. Like, those kind of things are, like, seeing people in pain and suffering and being like, I just can't do anything, so let's just move on. I just want to help. Like, I felt like her character was very believable and very natural, and I think she just had a very, like, just kind of, not sucked people in, but, like, she just had a very, like, approachable kind of, like, just, you liked her. Like, she was likable. Yeah. And I think that just with that and it just made people, like, the Batman, the Batman and
Superman versus Batman v Superman,
and I did see Suicide Squad, but you can't really, that's not relatable at all to people. And, like, and what they've done with Superman, like, which we've talked before, is they're making him kind of dark and brooding. They're not making him that
symbol of hope
that but I felt like this one finally gave you that little bit of hope. Yeah. That, like, we've been yearning for.
She was the symbol of hope to all those soldiers out on the battlefield in no man's land. When they saw her go out there and do those amazing things, she inspired them. Yeah.
I think that's what's missing in a lot of the other DC. That dark brooding is not...
So from my standpoint, I talked about this. I felt like when I was talking about my review last week, and I was getting towards the end there, I feel like, to me, I nailed the fact that compared to, say, the other movies like Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad, this one felt like such a clear vision. It's like, you had your director, she had a vision, I felt like she followed it through, where, say, Batman v Superman, I felt like was like a bunch of stuff thrown together in a committee, and then Suicide Squad was all reactionary to how Batman v Superman was. Like, they literally had a trailer production company come in and recut Suicide Squad, I mean, the director, who was it, David Ayer, wasn't involved. They redid this. Executives were in there. So with this one, I really felt like you could tell it was just the director, and she was following through with her goal, whereas the other ones I felt like were committee films.
Yeah, they weren't like... The other ones, I felt like it was really easy in every single one to find, like, plot holes. Yeah. This one I didn't feel like... I felt like it all kind of flowed like it was supposed to.
Yeah, the other films I felt like they were afraid to let the director carry the vision. Like, quite some point, I brought this up last week, was, Zack Snyder, he made a 3.5 hour long movie, which is Batman v Superman, The Ultimate Cut. I love that cut. The theatrical cut is such crap because it takes out so many more key elements. And again, I preach this all the time. You could totally tell that Warner Brothers wanted a Batman movie because all the stuff they took out was Superman stuff. And it's just, again, just stuff like that where I'm like, they're so afraid to, follow through, I guess is what it is. And they changed up Suicide Squad after the reactions to Batman v Superman. This was the first DC film I felt like that was, they let the director actually direct the film and do justice to the character. No pun intended. On that. So now the question is, where does the DC Cinematic Universe go from here? So we have Justice League coming out in November, which Joss Whedon has taken over for Zack Snyder. He's doing a couple reshoots. Now, allegedly, they're doing more than the average reshoots. I don't know if I believe that report, but they're doing reshoots, rewrites, stuff like that. He's taking over. That comes out in November. And then the only other film on the plate as of right now is Aquaman, which is in production too. And that comes out next December 21st, 2018. After that, nothing is definitive. But of course, now everyone's talking Wonder Woman sequel. They all think we should do fast track a Wonder Woman sequel. A couple of films that also are kind of floating to the top is Joss Whedon's Batgirl, which they talked about, and then Justice League Dark. Now, Justice League Dark recently just lost its second director, Doug Liman, so I don't think any headway is going on that film. A couple other ones, of course, you do have the Gotham City Sirens and Suicide Squad 2. They're still trying to get that Flash movie off the ground, even though, you know, they've lost several directors on that as well. And there doesn't seem to be a lot of headway for the Ben Affleck solo Batman film. Wonder Woman has literally, I think, changed the game over at Warner Brothers to where Warner Brothers, for the longest time, has had so much confidence in Batman and Batman alone. Now, it's Wonder Woman. It's, you know, they can put her front and center. Like, I guarantee you, if you take a survey right now, which do people want to see more? A Batman solo film or a Wonder Woman sequel? It's going to be a Wonder Woman sequel.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, if it did nothing but make them realize that Batman isn't the only character from DC who's good,
God, I hope so.
Then we've won. Because, I mean, even if this makes them realize, maybe we should let someone do a good Flash movie. Maybe we should let just someone do a good Aquaman movie instead of trying to micromanage everything. I mean, look how well Wonder Woman turned out. People love it, and it was good. Uh-huh. So, I mean, even if it just makes them realize, I mean, I'm not saying that I hope it doesn't just make them think Wonder Woman's all that matters now, and they just switch completely.
I hope not.
I just want them to realize that the other characters can have good films too. It's not all about Batman.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I totally forgot to ask you, what did you think about the new DC logo at the beginning?
I don't know. I thought it was weird. Like, I didn't even realize it was happening until I was like, oh, they're just trying to do like a Marvel thing.
Yeah, exactly. I was talking about how, like, I felt like they never would have done it unless, you know, Marvel hadn't changed theirs up. But the thing I thought was most hilarious about it is literally, like, you know, yesterday morning I put on an episode of the Justice League animated series, and at the beginning of the intro, it's just the Justice League members, CGI characters, one by one being introduced. Which is exactly what that damn logo was. So I was like, did they literally just copy and paste the intro to Justice League animated series? Is that what they did?
Maybe.
Like, nobody put any thought into it at all. Mm-hmm. One thing I thought was funny, though, too, is with introducing the characters, Aquaman, okay? When you see Aquaman solo in the introduction or whatever, he is what he looks like in the comic books with the shorter hair. But then when they go to the big picture of everyone, he's got the long hair with Jason Momoa. And I'm like, they really put no effort in this thing at all, did they?
Afterthought, like everything they do.
Exactly. All right, so let me ask you, what do you want to see next after Aquaman? What would you want to see a Batgirl? Would you rather see a Wonder Woman sequel? Where do you think they should go?
I think they need to get this Flash thing going. Mm-hmm. I mean, I like the character of the Flash. I think that they should put a little more effort into that. I mean, I would love to see a Wonder Woman sequel, though. Yeah,
I think they already can almost guarantee that's, you know, in development. I think within the next 2 to 3 years, we're going to see a Wonder Woman sequel. But again, it's one of those things where we have Justice League now. Our Justice League comes out in November. Then we have almost a year later is Aquaman. You know, it's like they have had so many bumps in their production schedules and what they want to do that I feel like if they don't get something in production soon, I mean, they're already, I guess, quote unquote, behind Marvel, so far behind. Marvel's pumping out 3 movies a year on top of, you know, 4 or 5 different seasons of television. On top of that, they need to figure out what they're going to do, I think, sooner rather than later. I mean,
but they don't need to rush it. That's been, I think, part of their problem that they've been doing. They need to think it through.
Another thing is, I heard a rumor they're going to wait to see how Justice League does before they really make any calls too. But again, that goes back to them being so reactionary. You know, if you get a guy, or, you know, take Jeff Johns, who has written the Flash character and written him well, let him write a freaking Wonder Woman script. Get a good director. I'd love to see, like, one of the people that talk about, like, Robert Zemeckis, who did Back to the Future.
For Wonder Woman?
No, for Flash.
Oh, you said Wonder Woman.
Oh, did I say Wonder Woman? Okay, so Flash. Get Jeff Johns to write the Flash script. Get Robert Zemeckis to direct it. I would love to see that film because I know, because you can literally, if you think of Marty McFly and, you know, in that same mind frame, that is very similar to Barry Allen or the Flash character. And I'm like, that would be perfect. I mean, he would do him justice, I think. And just, you know, you can't wait another, 6 months.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. They got to put something in motion now, and whatever it is, they got to commit to it, and they got to let it be what it's supposed to be. Don't, again, like you said, micromanage or, you know, try to do those committee films and, you know, change every day what you're thinking about. Commit and stay true to the characters. One thing that Marvel, you know, reason why Marvel is, I think, is successful is they are true to their characters. All these characters, yeah, they're minor things that are changed, but Captain America is who Captain America is.
At his core.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Iron Man is who Iron Man is at his core. And I think if you're true to the characters and show us why these characters have been so popular for so many decades, I think it'll work. So, all right. I think we covered that quite a bit on that note. So that is it for DC news. Now, there is no Star Wars or Harry Potter news unless you want to talk about anything.
No, it's okay. I'm still working on. I have one more novel to read of all the ones that have currently been released, and then I'll be all cut up, and I'm gonna start
on the Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, on the Star Wars novels. So I'm gonna start writing reviews. And
I will say, I read that Darth Vader comic. The first issue came out. So for those who don't know, there's a new Darth Vader standalone comic that came out, and basically it takes place immediately after Episode 3. Like, the first scene in the comic is right after Vader screams, "No!" You know, learns out Padme's dead. He actually gets into a fight with Palpatine. Palpatine electrocutes him, trying to get him to calm down a little bit. And from there, it's basically Palpatine saying, okay, you need to get yourself a lightsaber now. And he says, but you have to earn it. So he takes him to this planet where there's allegedly a Jedi. So he has to defeat the Jedi without his lightsaber in order to, you know, get at the crystal and put it in his own lightsaber and stuff like that. So, not superly interesting at this point, but I can see it leading down, you know, someplace good. As long as I think they need to explore more of what Vader is thinking at this point. You know, I mean, right now he's kind of going along with it. I want to get more inside of his head and how he feels about being inside the suit a little bit more. But in any event, that came out, so you guys can check that out as far as Star Wars news. So, moving on, a couple other miscellaneous things we can talk about. One of which is something I'm semi-excited about, is that there is a sequel to the cult hit Starship Troopers movie coming.
I'm not excited about this story at all.
Okay, so Starship Troopers Traitor of Mars is a full-length CGI animated sequel, and it's going to arrive in select theaters on August 21st in honor of the 20th anniversary of the Starship Troopers film. So this is all according to the Hollywood Reporter. Now, the film is said to be a true sequel to the film as far as story-wise. Casper Van Dien is doing the voice for Johnny Rico, who is the main character in the first film. There have been other direct-to-DVD, Blu-ray sequels, pseudo-sequels for Starship Troopers, but this one is actually the story literally bounces off the events of the original Starship Troopers film. So, did you ever see the original Starship Troopers?
Yeah, I saw it.
Okay. So I remember it was me, my brother, and my dad went and saw it. And we're like, okay, Dad, it's a sci-fi movie. He's like, okay. And the first, 30 minutes is, football games and prom. And my dad's like, what is all this? What is all this? And then it gets to all the killing, the killing of the bugs and the aliens. And by the end of the movie, he was like, that was so cool. Like my dad loves Starship Troopers. He literally, he loves referring to the part where the bug sucked his brain out.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the core of this, I like the film. It's something that, I grew up with, and it was always kind of crazy and a little cheesy, but this is definitely something that I want to check out just to see, if they're really putting a stamp on this as an official sequel to the original film. I mean, they got to have some faith in it, I guess, to run off of it, but I don't know.
I have zero interest in seeing it.
Okay, zero interest. All right, so let's go to something that you do have interest in. Now, normally, we talk geeky things. I don't know if this really qualifies in the realm of geeky, but I knew it was something you'd want to talk about. 20th Century Fox last week unveiled the first trailer for Murder on the Orient Express. Now, it's based on the novel by Agatha Christie that tells the tale of 13 strangers stranded on a train where everyone's a suspect. Kenneth Branagh directs and leads the film, along with Penelope Cruz, William Dafoe, Judi Dench, Johnny Depp, Michelle Pfeiffer, Daisy Ridley, and Josh Gad. You are the fan of the Agatha Christie things.
Poirot.
Poirot, that's the guy who Kenneth Branagh is playing. So I'm just going to let you go and talk about what you feel about this trailer. Go.
So I love Kenneth Branagh, and I generally love anything that he does. However, I also absolutely love the character of Hercule Poirot. He's like my favorite. And I could watch the Poirot that came out, David Suchet's Poirot, there's a ton of them that you can watch on Netflix or Acorn or whatever, out of the BBC. They're amazing. He does that character so well. So anybody else as Poirot, to me, immediately just seems wrong. So I already was thinking, how in the world is Branagh going to work? Then I saw the trailer, and I was like, okay, number one, the cast is just weird. It doesn't seem quite right to me.
Really?
Yes, for the characters. Based on the characters and
like the descriptions they have of each character.
Yeah, like the people who play them just don't seem... Like, it's not immediately obvious to me that those are the people who should be playing the characters.
Okay.
Then they showed Branagh as Poirot. Number one, his mustache is all kind of crazy wrong. And, like, right in there, we were just talking about, like, keeping the superhero characters, like, true to their core, to who they are. So the thing about Poirot is he knows that he's the best. He knows it. He's, like, the cockiest, most vain, superficial, pompous little man you'll ever meet. So at the end of that trailer, that's how his character is. And at the end of that trailer, Kenneth Branagh as Poirot says that I'm probably the best detective in the world. And just him throwing that word probably in there, I was like, he does not understand this character. Because Poirot would never say that he's probably the best. He would say he is the best detective in the world. He does say that in many of his books. So, like, that right there, I was like, I don't know. So, I don't know. I'm sure I'll see it. And also, Murder on the Orient Express is not one of my favorite.
Okay, so the series you watch, or the Poirot movies that you've seen, did they do this storyline?
Yeah, they've done this one.
They've done this one. Of course, it's based off of
They changed it dramatically.
Okay, and that's what people are saying, too. Because people are thinking because it is already a book, they might change the movie a little bit to where, it doesn't end the same as the book to, give it a little more surprise.
Oh, yeah. Well, the other Poirot, the other one that has been done, they changed it a lot. Okay.
A lot? Really? Mm-hmm. Okay.
But you can't change Poirot. That's the thing. Like, they do the ones that, all the different Agatha Christie ones that are made into movies, they take a lot of liberties with those. I mean, there was one I read recently where I had never read the book, and then I watched the episode that allegedly corresponded, and aside the fact that it took place in the same location, it was like not even the same story.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, they take a lot of liberties with them, but the characters are right. Marple is right. Poirot is right. Like, they make their characters correct. They just change the stories that they're involved in. Okay. So that's what worries me about this, is him changing the character.
Okay, fair enough. Just speaking from the trailer standpoint, again,
there was a pop song in the trailer.
Got the modern music in there, so you do have that. Which threw me out a little bit. I liked the cool part where he was walking through and like it labeled everybody, so you can kind of right from there you get a sense of who each character is. But I gotta say, I've seen some of these Poirot stuff. I can tell you what the theme music for it is like. I can
always tell when I'm listening.
I can always tell when you're watching it. Yes, I can hear the music. And then Kenneth Branagh's face popped up, and I'm just like, well, that's not like that bold guy with a thin mustache.
Exactly. It's like that crazy bushy
mustache. And I'm just like, now, did they describe what he looks like in the books at all?
Yeah, he looks like he does in the BBC series. Prim and proper little guy with a little thin, very well groomed. He's very like pompous and, you know, like the way that David Suchet plays him is exactly what the book represents. Like, that's Poirot. He plays him amazing. Like, perfect.
All right. Fair enough. Yeah, just the mustache threw me out. Because I knew, you know, what he looked like on the show from what you watch. And I'm just like, that's pretty far off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But, you know, of course, we'll check it out. It's Kenneth Branagh.
I know.
I mean, really, you got to give the guy some credit. I mean, after, you know, he did a great job with Thor and Cinderella.
I love Thor.
You got to give him all the credit in the world.
Yeah.
And just,
I mean, he's done so many amazing things.
And this is a great cast. It's a great cast, and I'm sure he's going to direct the hell out of it. The best advertising, I think, for this film, though, has been those Josh Gad YouTube videos where he's trying to get Daisy Ridley to talk about Star Wars, and he brings in, like, Judi Dench as well to, like, get her stuff like that. That's probably one of the best advertisement for this film so far in front of this trailer. But it comes out, what, November, I think it does?
I'm not sure.
Hold on, let me see if I got it on here. I don't have it on here yet. I think it comes out in the fall sometime, so we'll see how that goes.
All right, guys. But if you're interested at all, go back and watch the old Poirots. They're awesome.
They're not that awesome.
They're awesome.
All right, fair enough. All right, well, let's tell you what. We'll skip a couple of these and we'll go to the very last story. So, Ivan Reitman, guy, you know, directed a couple of films known as the Ghostbuster films back in the day. And it turns out he has some ideas about how the franchise could move forward after the 2016 revival. So in an interview with Super News Live, he said, quote, "I think one thing that fans have clearly wanted, and so do I, is that somehow we tie the worlds together. That the historical films, the ones that I originally directed, you know, back in the 80s, mixed with the film that Paul Feig just did and that world. I think it was a little awkward that it wasn't connected, and we certainly heard a lot from everyone out there. So I would definitely want to connect them all." Now, in the film last year, the 2016 film, we did see a lot of cameos from the actors, such as Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd, not playing their original Ghostbuster characters, but as just as little cameos throughout the film. Now, this Ghostbusters film was surrounded a lot of controversy. The fact that it was all female and people had an issue with it. And then, you know, some people panned it as well. It didn't do as good as some people wanted to. And recently, kind of the story has popped up again. Did you hear about Dan Aykroyd's comments?
Mm-mm.
Basically, Dan Aykroyd had some interview about something, and he was basically blaming Paul Feig for the fact that it was unsuccessful. But really, I think the fact of the matter is he was like, well, I would have done it this way. Like, basically, you know, because he's had his own Ghostbuster ideas for a long time. And I think he just kind of sided a little bit of the fact that the studio went with Paul Feig's and, you know, that direction as opposed to his direction. But anyway, I know you liked the Ghostbusters film.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't love it. I liked it. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I thought it was funny, but I did think that some of the Kristen Wiig moments were a little bit too Kristen Wiig.
Mm-hmm.
I think she was my only complaint from the women. I thought the women side, I thought it was great. I loved Kate McKinnon.
I guess you know, the thing too is, like, I don't get, you know, kind of what Reitman said. I don't get why they just tied it together. Why it had to be complete reboot and it couldn't just be like a pseudo sequel where, you know, they take over for the guys or something like that. I think that would be a great way to, you know, mend it. I think people have been a lot more accepting of the film if that was
like
the case.
If one of them had been the daughter of one of the guys.
Yeah, if one of them was like, you know, Venkman's daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, if one of them was the daughter of Sigourney Weaver and Bill Murray, I mean...
Yeah. And I think that they could have done... Yeah, I agree.
They could have done it that way, but yeah, instead they did complete reboot. People had issues with it, but I mean, Ivan Reitman, you know, says that he'd like to see it all mend together.
I just don't see how it can now.
That's what I'm saying. Do you think there's still a chance for them to do a sequel or anything like that?
Well, I don't know that I don't think that a sequel necessarily is out of the question. I mean, I don't know why they would, considering that it wasn't overly successful. So I don't think that they would. And I think if they do, I just don't think that they can tie it together with the original. Like, I think at this point, they just have to be two separate things.
Yeah. And I
think they kind of missed the boat on that one.
I think they missed the boat. And to be honest, I think they need to wait a couple years because I heard rumors they still want to do like a new animated series. I think they need to wait a couple years and do another reboot.
Yeah.
Take a couple years, rethink the plan, maybe even make it a true sequel to the original Ghostbusters. Which is the same because I didn't hate this Ghostbusters film either. There were definitely things that worked and things that didn't.
Yeah.
It was a shame because one of the things that really worked was Chris Hemsworth.
Oh, he was great.
and to kind of like not bring that character back is I think a loss.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the plot wasn't awesome, and I think they could have done without Kristen Wiig. And the worst part is, actually, some of her worst scenes were actually in the outtakes, like were deleted scenes, which just makes me, like, when I saw, because I thought she had some pretty bad scenes in the movie.
Yeah.
There were more that were cut. Yeah. So,
Well, we'll just have to see. I mean, I love Ghostbusters. I loved it as a kid. I'd love to see it to come back, into the spotlight. But it seems like a lot of 80s stuff doesn't get the love it should. Much like Ninja Turtles, which, crapped out 2 movies recently. Again, it goes back to they got to treat the characters with love. And I don't think they're getting treated properly as they should be.
all right.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, that is going to be it for us today. Run a couple minutes short, but that's all right. It is late, so we got to get to bed. Some of us got to work in the morning. So let us know what you thought. Where do you think the DC Cinematic Universe should go? That's a big question. Are you excited for New Mutants coming out? I still don't know how they're going to pull this movie off in less than a year either.
I don't know.
They're just getting to casting, and they still think they're going to come out with it in April. That's just bonkers. Black Panther trailer. Let me know what you thought about that too. DayspringDiscussions@gmail.com. The Facebook group, the Twitter. Find me personally, Instagram and Twitter. Slim SLYM Dayspring12. Lisa, anything before we check out?
No, but like I said, I'm going to start probably next week starting writing some reviews for the Star Wars book. So if you have any interest, I'll tell you which ones to read.
And there you have it, guys. All right, well, that's going to be it for us today. Until next time, may the Force be with us all.